Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, June 17th, 2023. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 MLB best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Detroit Tigers taking on the Minnesota Twins. Joey Wentz going for Detroit. No official starter for the Twins right now. We see that with a few games for Saturday's card, unfortunately. But, when you look at Joey Wentz, 1-6 this season with a 7.23 ERA. Yes, his last start wasn't too bad against the Arizona Diamondbacks, but that was at Comerica Park. We know on the road, Wentz has struggled even more so, an 8.72 ERA in 21 2/3 innings away from home. 7 home runs allowed, only 17 strikeouts. And the Twins, they were struggling quite a bit against left-handed pitchers in the month of May. But so far in the month of June, they've actually hit lefties pretty well, especially in the power department, where they are top 10 in baseball in isolated power in June against lefties. So I think I like their matchup against Joey Wentz here. I think they get on the board early. We'll have to see who the Twins decide to go with on the bump to start this game. But I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. They have a good bullpen, a good lineup. I like their matchup here. Give me the Minnesota Twins on the run line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Chicago Cubs. Kyle Gibson and Justin Steele are your projected starters in this one. The Chicago Cubs have really struggled against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days. Kyle Gibson's not a bad option on the mound for Baltimore, and Chicago is 27th in baseball in the last 30 days in team OPS, 29th in isolated power, and has a 26.4% strikeout rate, which is up there in terms of the highest strikeout rates in baseball, third highest against righties in the last month. So it's tough to trust this Cubs offense. Justin Steele is projected to go his first start back from injury, but the Orioles have hit lefties pretty well overall this season. I do think that they're the better side in this game, especially with the better bullpen to go with it. So give me the Baltimore Orioles on the money line. Next up, it's the Miami Marlins taking on the Washington Nationals. Braxton Garrett and Jake Irvin are your starters in this one. Now, overall, the Nationals have hit lefties pretty well this season, but in the month of June so far, not so much. When you look at their numbers, the Nationals are 23rd in baseball in team OPS, and they're 20th in isolated power so far this month. Their strikeout rate is still very, very low. It's 15.3%. The Nationals overall this season have done a really good job at limiting strikeouts, but that walk rate is also low at 3.8%. And you're facing a lefty in Braxton Garrett that has really pitched well since struggling against the Atlanta Braves and Arizona Diamondbacks about a month ago. His last start against the Chicago White Sox, 5 1/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, no earned runs, and another Marlins win. The Marlins have won a lot of Braxton Garrett's games as of late. And Jake Irvin, not my favorite starting pitcher to back. Even though the Marlins don't have the best numbers against righties this season, I still like their chances against Jake Irvin, who's got a 5.81 ERA and an even steeper 7.32 ERA at Nationals Park. Give me the Miami Marlins here on the money line, and I'd lay a little bit on the run line as well. Next up, it's the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Texas Rangers. We're going to see Dane Dunning going for the Rangers. No official starter for Toronto right now. Dane Dunning, I've mentioned that there's some regression concerns in his game. Not the best strikeout numbers so far this season, only 36 Ks and 58 2/3 innings. And we're starting to see that regression in his last few starts. You look back to May 31st against the Detroit Tigers, 5 innings, 7 base hits, 3 earned runs in that game. That was a Rangers loss. The next start against the Cardinals, although the Rangers won that game, Dunning wasn't the sharpest, that's for sure. 5 2/3 innings, another 7 base hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 home runs in that game. And then his last start against the Rangers wasn't good enough. 5 innings, 6 base hits, 4 runs, 3 of those were earned, 5 walks in that ball game, and only 3 strikeouts. So only 4 Ks in his last 10 2/3 innings against a Blue Jays team that has hit righties very, very well in the last 30 days. They're number 3 in baseball in team OPS and have one of the lowest strikeout rates against righties in the last month. I gotta like the Blue Jays' chances offensively. We'll see who Toronto goes with on the mound, but right now I'm leaning towards the Blue Jays on the money line. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see James Caprillion going for Oakland. No official starter for the Phillies right now. I can't trust James Caprillion in this start, even though he is improving. Now his ERA is below 7 at 6.89, coming off another quality start against the Tampa Bay Rays, 6 innings, 3 runs. But he still doesn't have good enough strikeout stuff. His control is not good enough as well. 30 walks and 49 2/3 innings this season. And the Phillies are, really red hot against right-handed pitchers. We saw in that Diamondback series what they did to guys like Zach Davies and to Ryan Nelson. I think they'll be able to get to James Caprillion early and often in this ballgame. I think it's going to be enough for a Phillies win and run line cover, even though we don't know who the official starter is right now. So leaning towards Phillies on the run line here on the road. Next up, it's the Chicago White Sox taking on the Seattle Mariners. Logan Gilbert and Lucas Giolito are your starters. Right now I'm leaning towards the White Sox on the money line, getting a pretty good price. I know Lucas Giolito has not been as sharp on the road as he has been at guaranteed rate field, but Logan Gilbert just hasn't been the same pitcher this season. He gives up a lot of sharp contact. His strikeout stuff has been pretty inconsistent. He's really a guy that has a good fastball, but his secondary pitches, his put-away pitches, just aren't good enough. And the White Sox have been a little bit more competitive as of late. We saw what they did in that Dodgers series, and I do think Giolito is in good form going into this start. His last 2 starts, one of those was on the road, one of those was at home. 13 innings, 1 run, 15 strikeouts. So, and that road start was at Yankee Stadium against the Yankees in a 3-2 White Sox win. I think Giolito's good enough here against the Mariners. Offense has just been so-so this season. Very high strikeout rate as a team. I'm going to take a shot here with Chicago on the money line. Next up, it's the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Houston Astros. We're going to see Brandon Bielak and Hunter Green on the mound in this one. I think Hunter Green's one of the best options the Reds have in their rotation this season. He's got a 4.01 ERA, even better numbers on the road with a 3.35 ERA. He's got 67 strikeouts and 43 road innings this season and only 2 home runs allowed. We know Great American Ballpark is a very hitter-friendly ballpark, so there's no surprise to see Green struggle there. But on the road, he has been razor sharp. His last 3 starts have all been on the road. 5 1/3, 3 runs against the Cardinals. Not the best outing, but he had 9 strikeouts, and the Reds still earned the win in that game. Before that, 6 innings, 1 run, 8 Ks against the Red Sox, another quality start. And then against the Cubs back on May 26th, 6 innings, a shutout baseball, no hits, 11 strikeouts, and a 9-0 Reds win. Brandon Bielak, not my favorite, started back. He's got a 4.01 ERA. He's been decent in the role that he's had. I mean, he's actually been more than decent because the Astros didn't expect him to be in that rotation. Luis Garcia goes down with the injury, so now Bielak has had to pitch a lot of innings, a lot more innings than the Astros would have intended. But he has struggled as of late. You look at his last 2 games, the Blue Jays and the Guardians, he went combined 11 2/3 innings, 19 base hits. He went 8 earned runs, 3 home runs. So I can't trust him in this game. I think the Cincinnati Reds take this one. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds on the money line on the road, getting a really good price. Next up, it's the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Kansas City Royals. Griffin Canning going for the Halos. No official starter for the Royals right now. I got to go with the Angels in this game. The Angels are 4-0 on the money line in Griffin Canning's last 4 starts. The Royals have struggled mightily against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days, where they're 28th in baseball in team OPS, 27th in isolated power, and they own a pretty steep strikeout rate of 24.4%, top 10 highest in baseball. Griffin Canning, like I said, the Angels have won a lot of his games recently. He's pitching well. He's missing bats. Give me the Los Angeles Angels on the money line. Next up, it's the Colorado Rockies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Connor Seabold and Bryce Elder are your starters. We're starting to see Bryce Elder regress, and we know his StatCast numbers weren't the best. His expected numbers weren't great, but he was pitching well, but not so much in the last couple of games. We saw against the Mets and the Nationals, 11 2/3 innings, 9 earned runs, and 3 home runs in those games. The Rockies have hit righties pretty well this season, more so at Coors Field, but I still think they'll be able to get to Bryce Elder in this start. Connor Seabold's in good form, but he's a right-handed pitcher. The Braves have just crushed righties in the last 30 days. Number 1 in baseball, team OPS, and isolated power. And, believe it or not, even though this is a home run-dependent team, a very powerful team, they also have the 4th lowest strikeout rate against righties in the last 30 days at 20.6%. You don't see that very often from powerful teams like the Braves. So I think the Braves will either get to Seabold or this Rockies bullpen or both. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game. Give me the over here in Colorado, Atlanta. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Wade Miley and Mitch Keller are your starters. I like the Pirates in this game. This is going to be the first start back for Wade Miley since the injury. His last start back on May 16th, so right around a month he has missed. And, he wasn't really in the best of form before the injury, where his last 6 2/3 innings giving up 8 earned runs and 4 home runs. Pittsburgh Pirates have been a pretty streaky offense, inconsistent numbers this season, but I still think they'll be able to get to Wade Miley. Mitch Keller, he was really struggling in his last couple of games before his last start. Against the New York Mets, though, 7 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, so a nice bounce-back outing for Mitch Keller in a low-scoring win, 2-1 victory for the Pirates. I like Pittsburgh in this game on the road. Give me the Pirates on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Mets hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright and Kodai Senga are your starters. I trust Senga more in this game on the mound. Adam Wainwright has struggled this season. He's got a 5.79 ERA. The Cardinals are 0-3 on the money line in his last 3 starts. That includes a game against the Kansas City Royals. And on the road, even worse numbers, 16 innings of work, a 6.75 ERA. I know Senga's control has not been the best. The last 2 games, 9 walks allowed, but he's got good strikeout stuff. He's keeping the ball on the ground as of late. His last 2 starts, a 17-9 ground ball to fly ball ratio. He's pitching well overall for New York. I think he's the better option. Give me the New York Mets here on the money line at Citi Field. Next up, it's the New York Yankees taking on the Boston Red Sox. Clark Schmidt and Brian Bayo are your starters. We saw the same pitching matchup last week. It was a 3-2 final score in favor of the Red Sox, and it was a low-scoring game. We took the under in the first 5 innings in that one. I'm going to take the under in the first 5 innings of this game as well. For me, Aaron Judge still out of the lineup for the Yankees. The offense has struggled without him. The Red Sox lineup has also not been great as of late, the last couple of weeks against right-handed pitchers. When you look at both of these teams in the last 30 days against right-handed pitchers, Yankees are 20th in team OPS. The Red Sox are 23rd. Both pitchers in pretty good form. Both pitchers pitched well in that game. Bayo went 7 innings, 2 runs. Clark Schmidt, 5 1/3, 1 run. Give me the under in the first 5 innings in the Yankees-Red Sox. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the San Diego Padres. We're going to see Zach Eflin and Blake Snell on the mound in this one. Now, we see Zach Eflin really struggling on the road this season. At Tropicana Field, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. 7-0 with a 1.85 ERA. Good strikeout numbers in a pretty good sample size, about 43 innings. But on the road this season, an ERA above 5.5. A lot of base hits, a good amount of home runs and walks. So, San Diego's really heated up offensively in the month of June. Now top 15 in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against right-handed pitchers. And they were really struggling against righties in the month of May. So that's good to see if you're a Padres fan. I like their chances against Zach Eflin. But the Tampa Bay Rays also hit lefties well themselves. They have a low strikeout rate. Blake Snell, we know, is a strikeout-dependent starter whose control can be off at times. We know he struggled at Petco Park this season with a 4.6 ERA. So give me the over here in Tampa Bay, San Diego. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're going to see Bobby Miller and Alex Wood as the projected starters in this one. Although the Giants are playing good baseball in the month of June, I don't like this spot for him. Alex Wood's first start back from the injury. He's facing a Dodgers team that's hit lefties very well all season long, but in the month of June alone, they are number 2 in baseball in isolated power, number 3 in team OPS. They have a 14.7% walk rate, which is the 3rd highest in baseball, and a pretty low strikeout rate to go with it. I think they'll be able to get to Alex Wood, and I think Bobby Miller has proven himself to earn a spot in this rotation. He's 3-0 with a .78 ERA, 23 strikeouts in 23 innings. His last 2 starts against the Yankees and Phillies, 12 innings, 14 strikeouts, 4 hits, no earned runs in those games. He has yet to give up a home run this season. I think he's good enough here. Give me the Los Angeles Dodgers on the money line, and I'd lay a little bit on the run line as well. And the final game for Saturday's card in Major League Baseball, it's the Cleveland Guardians and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Shane Bieber and Tommy Henry are your starters. Tommy Henry's got a 4.86 ERA overall this season, not having the best start to the year. However, his numbers at home are a lot better. In 30 innings of work, a 3.6 ERA with only 3 home runs allowed. And you're facing a Guardians team that has improved their numbers against lefties, but overall not the best numbers against southpaws. I think Henry will pitch well in this game. And Shane Bieber has not been great on the road this year. 4.35 ERA away from Progressive Field compared to a 1.89 ERA when he is pitching at home. In 49 2/3 innings on the road, he's only got 34 strikeouts. He's given up 7 home runs, a high opponent's batting average of .281. This Diamondbacks team, I think, will be able to get to Shane Bieber early and often in this game. I really don't like his chances. I would take his under outs in this game. I don't think he's going to pitch deep in this ball game. So give me the Arizona Diamondbacks here on the money line. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.